So this here is one of my favorite Briggs and Stratton engines. The old opposed cylinder twin. Oh, there we go. And this came out of a lawnmower out of a Craftsman that was in pretty good shape, but I could tell that it had been sitting a while. And when I looked into the carburetor, show you what I did here. Took off the carburetor drain bolt here, and if you can see inside, see how nasty things are inside of there. Yeah, that carburetor's not going to run like that, so we're going to have to look into it, which is usually the case after an engine sits for a long time. I also noticed that the previous owner was messing with things. You can see he's used some sort of silicone for the intake manifold, which I definitely don't approve of. So I think we'll be taking that off and replacing those gaskets and rebuilding the carburetor. Hopefully getting this thing running again. It's a 19.5 horsepower turbo cool. I don't know if you can see the model number there. 42E707. Yeah, these are sweet engines. One of the first things I did when it came in, of course, was check the oil level. Because with these Briggs, because if they have oil in them, they're probably still good. This one I had kind of tipped over. You can see there's plenty of oil in it, so we're good there. So let's get to working on this thing, get it running again. Like I say, from the looks of the lawnmower it came out of, I don't think it has very many hours on it. Looks like it has a new air filter in it. So I could tell that the guy had been messing with this engine a little bit. Well, he was actually messing with the whole lawnmower. It got to a point where he screwed up so many things he couldn't fix anything on it, so he brought it to me. Gave it to me. I gave him a trade-in on it. But I had another engine that was already up and running, and I just put it in it. Whoa! I saw a spider in there, man. Whew. So anyways, you have these are, I'll get my 5/16. Right here is where your breather tube attaches. So you can just kind of poke it back down through, and then this comes off. So I think at this point we could probably take. So I think at this point we can probably take off the manifold and the carburetor together. Hey, what are you doing? You mind your own business, Chunky. You have two bolts holding each side. It looks like they're 3/8. However, these bolts are pretty tight in here, if you see, so I don't know if a socket will work. Okay, so luckily, if you go with a long socket like this, they're a little bit thinner outer circumference. This is a 3/8, and it gets in here. Not much room. To say a regular socket is probably going to be too fat, but these long ones are a little bit more narrow. Looks like I can get to the bottom one too. I think I'm going to cheat. that was fast. So this one here, I really can't get this thing to fit. So it's a T27 Torx bit that you'll need to get in there. Okay, let me disconnect that. That's your fuel pump line that goes to your engine. Oh boy, that's glued on there, isn't it? Oh, there we go. So there's one linkage we have to get it off of. It's that one right there. You can see how we have to rotate it. Okay, so yeah, that stuff was bad news. Look at it, was already starting to get into the engine. All gooped up on there. So yeah, gonna do that and we're free. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on so I don't forget which way it goes. Alright, let's check this baby out. Yeah, check it out where he put the silicone. Not good.
Not good.
That's why you don't put silicone on your intake manifold. Get this stuff out of here before it falls into the engine. I'll have to clean up all these surfaces. Get all that gasket off of there. Hey man, you need to get out of there. You're getting evicted, buddy. Where'd you go? There he is. You see him up in there? That little sucker. You get out of there. Get out of there, dude. He's a big one. Wonder if a little spray of this will flush him out. Go live somewhere else, dude. I can usually rebuild these carburetors just by taking off the top portion. You don't have to take out these bolts. These are, it's a 5/16 socket. You have 4 of them here. Sometimes it can be hard getting this top part off because it becomes fused with the gasket. You have a pretty good pry point right here if you're careful. There we go. If you can keep the gasket in one piece, that's going to help you out when you go to shut up over there. When you go to identify the new gasket.
You guys shut up.
You guys shut up. I'm filming. Yeah. So that's good. It'll be easy to identify this gasket. There's about 7 different types when you get them in the kit. But look at that. See all that corrosion and crud down in there? That is not chicken food. That's just corrosion from bad gas. So we'll have to So we'll have to clean all that out. Up here is your fuel pump, so we'll also be taking it off. And we have your drain plug here. Your main jet is located down in that hole, so we'll have to get that out. When you're taking the fuel pump apart, you do have to be careful because things will jump out at you. There are springs in there that you need to keep track of, very tiny springs. So let's loosen this up evenly here. Hopefully we can pull it all off. You have like 2 or 3 gaskets, 3 springs. You have a few things to keep track of under here, so be careful. So first you have this top plate. Well, looks like it wants to come apart as a unit, so we'll take it apart as a unit. I see a spring down in there. That spring doesn't belong in here. I don't know where that thing came from. But when you lift off the diaphragm, or your fuel pump diaphragm here, you can see you have this setup, which is a spring and one of these. Looks like someone's been in this carburetor before, because you're only supposed to have one of these, and it goes like that. So more signs that this poor lawnmower has been molested. So this is your diaphragm. We'll be replacing this, and you can see a very tiny little copper spring right there. You don't want to lose track of. That's what it looks like. Very small. And there's supposed to be another one of those little copper springs right here. Oh, there it is. There is one. I couldn't see it because it was so corroded, but it was on there. And this spring, I don't know where this guy came from. Anybody recognize that? Who knows? So we will want to clean all this out, get it as spotless as possible before we reassemble. You can also see here we have this jet, which is your slow jet system on this carburetor. We'll want to take that out, clean out that passage. Some models have a fuel mixture adjustment screw right here that you have to worry about. This is just a set slow speed jet, so you don't have to adjust it, you just tighten it down. And there's a little tiny hole in the end that you need to make sure is unplugged, as well as a couple of holes in the side here. You can see you have a couple of holes in the side, and then you have one that's supposed to go down through the end. You want to make sure to unplug that and clean out that passageway. Now we need to work on getting this main jet out of here, out of your drain hole. Look down in there, you can't even see it, it's so crusty, corroded. Try and clean this out a little bit here, so we can at least see the main jet. It's usually an Allen wrench that you need to take it out, and this is very easy to strip trying to get it out. So make sure you have a good Allen wrench, and if you can heat it up, that's good. I'm going to spray a little bit of lubricant in there to try to help get it out. Okay, here goes nothing. Oh, see, it's not coming out, so I'm going to pause, because you do not want to strip it. Yeah. No, nope. See, it's going to strip, so I'm going to hold off and figure out a plan here. Well, we are screwed now. It's stripped, so we're going to have to figure out how to get that out of there. Yeah, I'm just destroying this thing, and it's not loosening at all. I have a secret box of tricks. I'll show it to you. In here we have some good stuff. I think I'm looking for maybe that, or let's see, I think we have another size. Yeah, there it is. Down in here, we'll try that one. Or that one. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drill a small hole down through the center of it. Alright. So you can see I got a hole in there. I have a hole in there now. I think I'll be able to pound this down into the hole. At least that's the plan. You want to get it in there straight. Alright, I think we're in there good enough. And I can actually see it's already working, sure enough. But we destroyed the main jet in the meantime. That's okay, we can order another one of these. And you look, and everything else down inside there is really clean and in good shape. I didn't damage anything, so just need to get a new main jet and finish cleaning this carburetor up. And on your fuel pump here, nope, that actually is supposed to come apart. And then the little copper spring goes on that post there. I'm just trying to pry this apart. Okay. So you can see that's what you have on that side. This gasket here, which goes up against the metal, and then you have another sort of a diaphragm gasket. And there you are. That's how to disassemble your fuel pump. So remember, when you take your fuel pump apart, these are the parts that will jump out at you. These two little copper springs and this one here. You'll notice you can't take this main gasket off until you take the float out. These pins can get stuck. Right. Don't hear any fuel in the float, so that tells me the float's good. There's your float needle, which we'll replace. There you go. More stuff to clean up. See, this is how badly I screwed up the main jet, trying to get it out of there. Probably could have got it out with some heat, but I had already stripped it out, so might as well show you guys how to do it the hard way. So there's the part number for the kit, and they give you a bunch of different gaskets here, but this was the one that we're looking for. An exact replica. Alright. So here we are, we're finally getting some parts in. I think that component's cleaned out good enough. The float, I don't hear any signs of fluid in there, so I'm pretty sure we're good there. So you put your gasket on. You have to put this on before you can put your float in place. And I don't believe it matters which way, if you put it this way or that way, as long as you get it up in there. And it stays in place. It's always the tricky part, getting that little booger to stay in place. Your hinge pin should always just kind of slide in easy once you get things lined up. And then I always verify to make sure that we're still in place there, and we are. One thing we need to check is the float level, and basically you just want the float level on all sides, and it looks pretty good to me. If you need to make any adjustments, basically you just bend that little tab on your float, but I'm gonna say that's pretty good right there. Alright, I think we're done here. We'll just set this aside and make sure it stays clean. This is the part number for the fuel pump kit. This is what you get. These little springs, diaphragm, gaskets, more springs. Okay, now comes this piece. Just want to make sure that everything's cleaned out in here. This is just a little sanding pad, so I can get the surface back looking nice again. Usually I have to put these things on while they're on the lawnmower, and it's usually a pain in the butt. This way should be much easier. Just going to dump out this kit. First thing I want to do is grab one of these tiny little copper springs, and I want to put it in this post right here, just like that. And then this is the actual diaphragm, which goes on, yep, just like that. Now we have your spacer that we have to put on, and we have to put another one of these. We have to get another copper spring, and it goes right on that one there. Just like that. And then we have your spring and cap here, which goes just like this in that little recess. Now the trick is attaching this to this without having any of these little parts fall out. It's a trick too, let me tell you. And then for this piece, you have this gasket, it goes like that, and then this rubber one, it goes, and then the part that protrudes down there at the bottom goes like this. So now I'll put these together just like that. You can see there's a little recess. And now we have to get this onto here without having any springs fall out. So I think the best way to do that, alright, so I think I'll just set it at an angle like that. And I think I'm going to put the diaphragm, on here. I think this is normally the way I do it when it's on the vehicle. You just kind of have to push down on this spring, and that helps hold everything else down. And in one fell swoop, get it into place. This is not easy. If anyone knows an easier way to do this, let me know. So I think the trick is going to be to put everything assembled here on this piece. And if you see, you can push down on the spring there. Well, I'll put the diaphragm in place, make sure all the springs are in place, and I think we'll be able to get this thing on here. I have one bolt through the fuel pump that I plan on lining up. Don't let that spring drop out, folks. I think if you just do it kind of like that, you're good. Now I know I have that center one lined up. Make sure things are in place, lined up. I think everything held together when I assembled it. Like I say, everyone has their own method, I'm sure, and if you have a better one, let me know. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Alright, so I'm just verifying that that gasket isn't crumpled up anywhere. Looks like it's all in place. I'm assuming all the springs are in place. Time to tighten it up. Not too tight on these. You can break them. Alright, let's hope everything stayed in place. So this has all been cleaned out. Down in the main jet hole. Down in the main jet hole, it's about as clean as you can get it. So I think, yeah, we can go ahead and put these two pieces back together now. Just make sure the gasket stays in place. There we are. See how easy that was, folks. Now we're just waiting for the new main jet. Tighten them down evenly. Get them tight enough to cinch up that gasket. Already cleaned up this side. Time to get to this side. So you can see I have all the surfaces cleaned off nicely, and the surfaces here as well. Basically it's just time to mount this baby back up, but we do have to hook it up to the little linkage here, which goes on this back lever. Looks like, yeah, looks like it went on like that. There we go. So that's how that hooks up. Here are the gaskets, finally came in. See how we can do this one at a time, maybe. And I'll use the T27 Torx bit to thread these in. When I go to cinch them down, I'll have to use another tool, socket or something. Get this one started a little bit more. Alright, I know I have the top hole into place. So I usually just put in the top bolt. Doesn't matter which way this gasket goes, as far as I know. Same thing, we'll get the top bolt started here. Sometimes you can get a good torque using these torque bits. I think they're digging in, so I'm going to do that. Alright. That one's torqued. Oop. That one might be stripped. Nah, we can get it. Oh. Yeah, that one I'll probably have to get a socket on to torque it. Let's see about this side. That one's already stripped, I can tell. Pretty good. I'll put a socket on both of those as well. Yep, I can get to that one. Get to that one pretty good too. Oh yeah. Getting closer. Still waiting for that main jet. Finally got the main jet in. That's the part number here. I had one of these jets off of an 18 horsepower carburetor, but it was not the same as the 19.5. So we had to order a new one. And there it is. She's a beauty. I think it cost about $17 for it. Kind of spendy. But you can see that's what it's supposed to look like. We'll make sure to get the right size Allen wrench to put it in. So I'm not sure what size Allen wrench this is, but it fits in here nice and snug. There's no way that it will strip. Simple as that. Don't over tighten it. Don't strip it out. Just snug. That should be good. And it's a 5/8 wrench to tighten this baby back up. There we go. We still have our gasket on here, and I think we can reuse it, so let's do that. Time to attach the breather hose. It just pokes up into here. Tighten those babies down. And I use a 5/16 socket on these. Air filter's still good. Don't forget this little guy. Oh crap, now I gotta find that bolt. Where'd it go? Well, guess it never had one, so I put something together here. Alright, let's test this baby out. This is the hose that goes from your engine to your fuel pump and what actually operates your fuel pump. Oh boy. So I have a big old block of wood here. I'm gonna mount it up best I can so we can test this baby out. Get a little muffler action going. Not the best way to do it, but it'll work for temporary. It'll move around on there, but not too much. There we go. So all we need is a fuel supply and a battery, so we can hook it to the starter motor there and fire it up. When the choke lever here on the carburetor is to the front, that's choke on, that's choke off, choke on. That's where your throttle cable would connect. Work that mechanism there. I'm thinking if we can get it started and turn off the choke, it will idle, and then we can just rev it up by manually. Guess it's time to put on this side cover. Both of these bolts are broken, unfortunately. Pretty common. So this is what I call my IV bottle. And we're going to give a little bit of fluid to this baby here. Now we just need to find a good battery so we can jump start this starter motor. So this is our setup here. I don't think this battery is all that good, so I'm trying to give it a little extra juice with this charger. And I have the ground on the very bottom bolt of the starter motor. And when I hook this up, alright, we're at least getting it to turn over for a little bit. So it's going to probably take a while for the fuel pump to fill up the carburetor float bowl. The engine has to turn over a few times to pump the gas into the carburetor. So we'll just let this charge up for a bit. Try it again in a couple minutes. Get a good ground. Oh, turn off the choke. Let's let it warm up a little bit. Sounds good.